in that, I gained freedom in being able to give away a lot of the external things that I thought mattered to me and really went within. That was the beginning of my pursuit of what really mattered.
You are listening to In Good Company, a podcast that explores the lives, businesses, careers, and advocacies of people who want to create positive impact in the world.
If you're someone who's looking for inspiration, positive stories, how-tos, and opportunities to start a business or pursue a career with meaning and purpose, this podcast is for you.
And we won't just be talking about the good and inspiring stuff.
We'll be talking about the real stuff, which means that we'll get into the gritty, grimy, and yes, juicy details about trying to do good in a world where doing good is still a bit of an afterthought.
This podcast is designed to share inspiring stories, but at the same time encourage anyone. But while doing good in a big way is challenging, it is possible, and there are concrete and actionable steps to do so.
So, if you want to do good, you're in good company.
I'm Reese Fernandez-Ruiz, co-founder and president of Rags to Riches.
And I'm Tom Graham, author of the book The Genius of the Poor and co-founder of the social tourism enterprise Make a Difference Travel.
And
this is In Good Company.
So, you have ticked almost all the boxes of your bucket list. You are living the proverbial dream. And yet, something's missing. Marie Crisilva left a successful advertising career that literally brought her places. Instead, she chose to lead a social enterprise with the goal of empowering farmers and potentially revolutionizing the dairy industry in the Philippines. In this episode, we talked to her about how she did it, and most importantly, why.
Hey Marie.
Hey, Tom.
Thanks for the champorado cookies.
You're welcome.
Great, so let's kick off with our first question.
Okay.
You're a young girl who went out to pursue the American dream, right?
Yes.
And you've ended up coming back to the Philippines and you're now pursuing a Filipino type of dream.
Mm-hmm.
Could you just give us and our listeners a little bit of background, how you ended up back here in the Philippines?
That's one question.
That is one question.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow, how do I even start with that? Okay, so the American dream, I left here. I was able to get a full scholarship at Mount Holyoke College, so from Poveda. And for me, my dream was I want to be in advertising. I wanted to see my words on a billboard, right? So advertising it is. So at that time, New York City was the capital of advertising, right? Madison Avenue. So all throughout college, I pointed my ship towards an advertising career. And that's where I landed right after college. So I was very fortunate to get a job at the top agency at that time, which was BBDO, working on their biggest brand at that time, which was Pepsi.
Right.
So Pepsi and Mountain Dew, and I also got to work on US Navy. So it really fed that dream that brought me to many other places like Canada, in Toronto, and eventually Hong Kong, Singapore, and even Amsterdam, right? So I was doing all this work, and also San Francisco. My working on additional brands like Disney, IKEA, Mitsubishi, doing all aspects of advertising and marketing, which means client service, account side, and client side. So I was also a product manager, but also I was a copywriter. I also worked on, during the dot-com boom in Asia, so worked on online marketing things, right? Getting used to email marketing and all those banner ads. And so I really have, if you think about it, like a 360-degree background. What's that word? It's not just background, right? Exposure to branding and marketing and advertising and mass communication. So I was able to also get a master's in mass communications in the States. But after having lived that dream, climbed the corporate ladder, even lived as an expat, because at that time I was married, you know, I had everything. We would go scuba diving in the weekends, right? Champagne brunches in Shangri-La, and I'm thinking, I'm taking these things for granted, like shopping in Gucci and, you know, AX. Is this it? And I didn't feel I was part of something big. I felt like I was outside looking in, like what really was happening in the world. Because the privileged life and a very comfortable life kept me too comfortable and away from what really mattered. Like here I was shopping and, like I said, and just having fun, but it felt empty. And even in San Francisco, we'd go out, you know, parties and drinking and wearing funny hats and costumes and like, but is this it? It was very pleasurable, it was very fun, but it didn't correlate to being happy. Because what is the meaning of all this, right? What is the purpose of my life? And I knew I was meant to do something more, because I didn't want to live a wasted life.
Yeah.
So I've been given so much, and what do I do with that? Having lived the American dream, I had my TV commercial, I saw my words on a billboard, and it didn't give me that kind of satisfaction that I thought it would.
What disturbed you though? Because a lot of people go through that but never get disturbed. They're like, yeah, this is the life. I'm gonna live like this, wear funny hats. But you had that moment. Not everyone has. Is there something that disturbed you?
Yes, I remember so vividly. I was living in San Francisco on Mission Street. I was walking down, beautiful sunny day, and I'm thinking, at this moment, I'm really happy. You know, great job, great friends, great social life. Work was okay, and I thought, wow. My happiness dependent on external things.
Right.
What would happen if all these things were taken away? Where would I be? Where would I stand? And at that time, the most important possession that I had was my apartment. So I gave it up.
Yeah.
I gave up that apartment. I sublet it for, baby steps. So I sublet it for a year, and I moved to an urban ashram at that time. So I lived in a 2,000 square foot shared space.
Whoa.
And I slept on a yoga mat with a sleeping bag on it.
Whoa.
So I gave up everything and just changed my environment quickly. But of course, it was a bit radical in that, because I still partied, I still worked. I would come home at like 4 o'clock in the morning and crawl into my sleeping bag. And I did it for like a few months just to get myself out of the comfort zone and to really try to live with so little.
Yeah.
But of course, it's a very radical move, but I had a safety net because I could always go back to my apartment a year after because I subletted it.
Yeah.
But after a while, learning to live with so little and feeling the encumbrances of material things, because I had to move stuff from here. It's like, what a pain in the butt, right?
Yeah.
Like, forget it. It's not to really have a physical manifestation and real inconvenience of possessions was a reality check.
Yeah.
So I'm like, no, I don't want that. And in that, I gained freedom in being able to give away a lot of the external things that I thought mattered to me and really went within. That was the beginning of my pursuit of what really mattered.
I'm curious because you seem very self-reflective, and a lot of people are not. Like, we express ourselves, we talk about our dreams and our hopes, but we usually don't reflect on how we are and how we could be better. Is there anything from your childhood or like past earlier experiences that made you this reflective? Because again, other people will go through Mission Street and be happy and that's it. Yeah. But you were thinking about something else, something that not a lot of people would really think about.
Great question. But I think as such, I was always been interested in a spiritual life. So even as a child, I would write to God. I would write to God on a piece of paper and I would tie it to a balloon.
Aww.
That's why I love balloons as a child. And I would let it release it and let it fly up. And I would do that and I thought about I was malapit kay God. But my relationship with God continued to evolve because when I left for the States, I started challenging my Catholic faith. Why do I have to go to church? Like, I'm always falling asleep anyway. What do these dogmas mean? Like, because in the States, you're allowed to question, right? I was living in a dorm with a bunch of other women, so we were empowered to ask questions and to challenge the status quo, right? So all those things like, why? And I said, I'm just not going to go to church and see what happens. And I explored many kinds. So I explored born-again Christianity. So that was okay with me for a while. But then after that...
You shaved your head at one point, right?
Like much later,
really?
I shaved my head. Yeah.
I've seen the photos.
Yes.
I've seen the proof.
Oh, I'm so jealous. It's so hot these days. But you probably didn't do it for the weather.
No, I didn't. In fact, you actually felt the perspiration form on your head.
So that's even okay.
Yeah, it was an interesting
Nice
sensation. It was an interesting sensation. But it was more about what is my relationship. I wanted to develop a personal relationship with God. So I explored Buddhism, Hinduism, Tantra, shamanism, got into Native American practice. Like really I even did ayahuasca in Peru.
Yeah.
But because I really wanted to know, why am I here? What's the meaning of my life? Because I was done with advertising now.
Yeah.
So I'm done. It was my dream since I was 15 years old. And now what? So it was really more the pursuit of the purpose of my life.
Yeah.
Right? So going within, you have to really start going, because the answers aren't out there. It's because I searched, right? So I traveled to the far reaches of the earth. I even got to Ushuaia, in the most southernmost part of, I guess, an inhabited city, right, in Tierra del Fuego. I haven't gone up north, but I went to the base camp of Mount Everest, just looking for answers.
You've been everywhere.
So your journey, I heard you once summarize it as eat, pray, love, serve.
Yes.
Right. So when was that moment when you realized that the whole eat, pray, love thing, or that quest for spiritual enlightenment wasn't quite enough, or wasn't complete until you served?
Yeah, it was actually here in the Philippines. So I moved back here.
When was that?
December 2012. You know, when all the Mayan calendar, the hoopla about Mayan calendar, according to the Mayan calendar, was going to end, blah, blah, right?
Oh, that was
December.
So you thought it might as well end while you're in the Philippines.
Yeah, right. I want to go back home with my loved ones and all that. I moved from San Francisco to Palawan. It was an easy sell.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So
Palawan.
So I can leave San Francisco for that. So I actually moved here to continue that eat, pray, love thing. So I joined this place called Bahay Kalipay, worked in this detox yoga, raw food place, again, to deepen my spiritual practice.
Yeah.
So I was a meditator and led retreats. I worked in their marketing. I was part of the management team. But it was only going to be for a year and a half. So after that stint, I moved to Manila to see, okay, what's next? And then I met Tito Tony. Like, a friend of mine said, Marie, come visit. I'm going to meet Tony Meloto. He's my mentor. I'm like, who is he? I've never heard of Gawad Kalinga in all my years ever. So I'm like, okay. So I Googled him. It's like, oh, this guy is kind of interesting. So I went here, and Tito Tony himself toured us for 5 hours.
Wow.
So it was September 2014. September 2014. It's like now in hindsight, that was such a special moment when he had all the time to tour us, when there was no 1 hectare thing, the duck, there was just like a bunch of ducks, and that was the animal farm. He took us everywhere. So, and at that, for the first time, I met someone, a Filipino of substance, right? That had integrity, that had vision, that showed proof of concept. And I remember at the end of that day, I said, Tito, can you just please run for president? I didn't know who he was. And apparently, many people had asked him. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, so I guess I'm onto something here, right? And then that on a manifesto in Archangel, it said, God did not make a mistake in creating me Filipino. And for the first time, I really stopped and think, wow, there's a real reason why I'm here. Because many times I thought, I could live in Nepal, I could live in Bhutan if they'd let me, I could live in Peru, I could live in Amsterdam, but dito pala, this is what home means, and to be able to join and be part of Tito Tony's vision of ending poverty for our country in a very realistic way, because I didn't have to do it by myself, right? So I felt very empowered working with an amazing group of people, right, towards the same thing. So may kasama ko. Sabi ko, sali ako dito. I really want to be part of this. And of course, during that day, I met a lot of people just as inspiring, but also smart. My exposure to many Filipinos who were smart, grounded, deep faith, very loving, very generous. It's like, wow, these are my people. And I didn't really get that kind of experience ever. At that time, Tito Tony was talking not about charity, but sustainability, empowerment, and social entrepreneurship. That was my first introduction to what could be like a better Philippines that's grounded in business, that didn't demonize money or profit, but really used it as a tool, which is what I've always believed in. But in the end, what he said, what really parang sealed the deal for me was, he said, I'm led by spirit, and the systems and the structures and the science follow. I'm like, yeah, that's my kind of guy. Right?
So, but fast forward to today, and you guys, you've set up CalaBoo.
Yes.
And you are really making high quality products out of Carabao's milk. How did you get to here? How did you get this idea to actually start a social enterprise? Because when you first arrived back in the Philippines and at the Enchanted Farm, you were helping out in various different roles, right? But you weren't actually a social entrepreneur from the beginning. So how did you get your idea to start a social enterprise? And tell us a little bit about your social enterprise, CalaBoo.
Okay, well, the idea, it came to me. I never thought I'm like social entrepreneur material, right? For me, because my background was corporate, I like the idea of joining something big, like having a structure, like fitting myself in that role. So when I joined Gawad Kiling Enchanted Farm, I became part of the managed partnership marketing events team because that was my background. And after a while, I saw that I could actually be in a leadership position that supported the farm. And when I came in, the expectation was, okay, you work the farm with an idea that you could also become a social entrepreneur so you can thrive, right? So you sustain yourself with the farm, but you can thrive with having your own social enterprise. So when I went in, I had that in the back of my head. And a few opportunities came with possible partnerships, but I knew that my social would be with other. It would never be just mine. Because Tito Tony said, if you're going to dream big for your country, it cannot be. Right? So how can it be big if it's just me? And he's always drilled into our heads. It's not a live project that you're doing. You're doing an enterprise. It's going to employ a lot of people. Because this is how you're going to create impact, right? Not just affect change, but create impact. And spread it all over the country. So suddenly, this whole livelihood thing got blown up. And when an opportunity came to take over an enterprise that was left behind, but one of the entrepreneurs to go back to his corporate job, I really thought about it. I said, am I ready to take this leadership position? And I had to ask myself a lot of questions, like, what am I passionate about? What am I willing to struggle for? Because this is a major commitment. Because if I do this, right, well, many people are going to be affected by it. Right? Because that's the whole point. But can I just drop? And I finally drilled down to the most important question, which was, is my faith big enough? Is my faith enough to carry this social enterprise through to its natural evolution, conclusion, to where it needs to go? Because I thought about it. As social entrepreneurs creating and leading change will always be at that space where it's the unknown, right? Because you're innovating, you're responding to challenges and responding with ways that have never been explored before. Can I be in that space not just one time, not just a few times, but all the time? Because it's an exercise of faith moment to moment. And when I was able to answer, yes, my faith is enough, big enough, deep enough, wide enough, then the answer became really clear. So, yes.
So you've set up CalaBoo.
Yes.
What's all that about?
Well, you gotta taste it.
No, you could get high quality
it
dairy
is.
products from a Carabao.
Well, you can, but there hasn't really been a lot of it, enough of it, or maybe not consistently, right? Because Carabao milk, for me, I love the story behind it, right? So Carabao is our national animal. Right, and Carabao, like most of the Carabaos in the Philippines, are owned by smallholder farmers. They're being used as draft animals. But because they have this asset already, they know how to take care of them, right? But if you turn this asset from a draft animal into a dairy animal, you could suddenly quadruple even the income of a farmer by selling the milk, by them selling the milk. Right, so it's that taking care of it that makes it. But understanding that these are smallholder farmers all over the Philippines, right? You can imagine they're scattered all over the country in different islands. So how do we help them create this? Because it's milk, it's kind of sensitive and all these things, right? The cold chain, etc., etc. And if I made a decision, this enterprise exists to help people. And who are the people that's most in need? Of course, the farmers. But then we always talk about the farmers. What about the farmers' children, right? Which we talk about at the school at the farm, the school for experiential entrepreneurial development. How do we improve farmers' lives and people's lives at the bottom of the pyramid in the countryside by having this business? It wasn't the other way around. I want to create this business for that. And understanding more about the Carabao milk, and I was introduced by my brother to the Philippine Carabao Center. And because I had set up for this dream to be big, I knew I needed partnerships. So private partnerships and public partnerships. So I reached out to Philippine Carabao Center. I shared them my vision to help end, poverty for the farmers. And at that time, it was acting director, Doc Arnell. They said, let's meet. So I shared with him the vision. And so we've had this conversation. And at first, we were supposed to have Carabaos only at the farm. But the reality is the farmers see the market. Like, I'm back to marketing. I'm back to marketing. Okay, fine. We need to find the market. We import 99% of our dairy, 80% in powdered milk form. So you can imagine the quality of our dairy products here is really suboptimal and unhealthy, really, when you think about it. So it has a lot of needs. So the consumers and at the same time the producers. So I thought, okay, we can build the dairy industry slowly and we'll grow with the supply together, right? And it evolved, you know, like there's so many pivots throughout the life of this enterprise. Like we started with, okay, let's have Carabao. So let me go back to Tito's exhortation to dream big for the country, right? So it's not like a livelihood thing. So it's not just about selling dairy products. It's not even just selling CalaBoo. So of course I was so inspired and by the things that GK and the farm has been able to do. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go build a dairy industry. Why? Like
build an entire industry?
Why not?
Why not? Why not?
Why
Dream
not?
big, right?
Yeah, because why? Because we have the Gawad Kalinga network.
Right.
So when you actually can figure out how it can be done, it makes it easy.
Easily replicated, right?
Easily replicated, right? So the dairy industry now, as we know it, right, it's all in industrial farms where the cows are raised inhumanely, pumped with antibiotics and bovine growth hormones and like crops from GMO.
I have no idea what those are, but I think they're bad.
They are. I mean, you could. Anyway, it's not about them. But the point is here, we can actually create the industry and go where the farmers are using Gawad Kalinga communities as the base, which is so much aligned with Tito Tony's vision of ending poverty for the country in 777, right?
Yeah.
7 years for social justice, 7 years for social artistry, and 7 years for social progress. So I joined the movement at the right time when it's ready for progress.
Can we just backtrack? Because this may be an ignorant question, maybe because I am a foreigner or whatever, but what kind of livelihood do Carabaos provide farmers with today? How does this industry work? If they're not obviously producing milk, how does that create a livelihood source for farmers? And what
Currently,
kind of a livelihood is that? Yeah.
Well, currently, most of the animals are being used for draft animals, so power, right? So they
plowing fields.
Plowing fields.
Got it.
So and then
Got
when
it.
they're old, they kill the Carabaos and use it for meat.
Right.
Okay.
Which is actually Carabao meat is actually really good. But
I've
now
never ever eaten a
Yeah.
Carabao steak. Why is that?
Probably
Why
don't-
does it have to be
you
steak?
probably don't even know.
Well, okay.
Yeah. Actually,
I
some
probably
of
don't
them-
know. It could be slipped into an adobo or something.
No, the meat itself is kind no, it's more like the burgers.
Burgers.
Because the meat is pretty tough.
I've never had one of those.
Goodness.
Okay.
No, you probably
think you have.
yeah, exactly. Because they use it as ingredients and mix it with other things.
Oh, so.
But it's good. It's actually good. Imagine it's grass fed, for crying out loud, right?
Gotcha. All right.
So it's grass fed. So
Yeah.
they kill it, and that's pretty much it. They go into the slaughterhouse and they use it for meat.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you mentioned a lot about the big vision, the commitment, and on paper, I think it sounds really good that there are lots of Gawad Kalinga communities that you could really expand to. But I'm sure, like even if we say it that way, and somehow there's a roadmap, there are like obstacles along the way.
Of course, yes.
What have you experienced? Like, what are the challenges, and what challenges surprised you?
Well, okay, let me just back for perspective, like so we launched the enterprise November 11 last year.
What?
So media
okay.
launch.
Yeah.
So, but I think we've done a pretty good job in terms of getting the word out there because we got ourselves in Dateline and
Yeah.
Shop Talk and Tatler and Town and Country.
That's
so
great.
Daily Enquirer, Business Mirror, Manila Bulletin, Philippine Star. So we actually have a lot of media and Awesome Planet wrote about us, Pepper.ph. Because when you've got a really great product, right, it starts with good products. So Tito says, no more pity purchase. Let's show them that Filipinos are capable of excellence. So let the product speak for itself.
Mm-hmm.
So I let the product speak for itself with a lot of context around it, right? So people now are ready to really experience what's excellent about this. But so in terms of the limitations, as I've experienced, it's really more excellence and consistency, right? Because Filipinos, the majority of Filipinos, they say, oh, tama na yan, pwede na yan,
Yeah.
right? Pasensya na po. Like,
Yeah.
no, I don't want that.
Yeah.
It's so deeply ingrained in our psyche. Pasensya na po, sorry na po, like, what for? I don't want to give you pity. You are worth more than pity,
Yeah.
right? And so, you are worthy. You are actually capable of excellence. So that, gawa na natin ng paraan, no, it's not pwede na yan. Like, it's really shifting people's mentality, right? Because when you're thinking about an enterprise, you have to think of every step of the way, not just how you make it, where you're going to source it, is it consistent? But when you think about dairy, you have to think, what is it being fed? How do you care for that? You have to go back all the way to actually the farmer taking care of it, right?
And it's food too, so there's so much at stake.
Yeah, so the farmer now will have to think, am I going to plant for my children or for this Carabao that I still have to milk to have something? It's like a long-term thing. And, because of the poor, they don't have the luxury of thinking long-term. Right? They just have to think about the next meal, which is a couple of hours.
Yeah.
Now we have to. It's all those things rolled into one. But at the core of it is the expectation of excellence. Now, we're so used to mediocrity or even shabby workmanship.
Yeah.
Right? It's really a shift in mindset. But fortunately, there's a few and a growing number of Filipinos who are demanding excellence because we are capable of excellence, right? And then a new awareness and things that we can grow that we can be proud of, like the coffee, right? And chocolates and adlai and ube and Carabao milk.
Yeah.
So really great excellent products. And now because manufacturing has been pretty weak in our, diba? And of course, the agricultural industry is really, really low compared to other countries. But for us to start looking at the treasures of the land, but also the treasures of our human resources, right? We're so lucky that our workforce is young. Like the average, our population is young. Continue to grow, we're optimistic. So for me, it's really falling in love with the Filipinos all over again, right? Because now I'm technically balikbayan. So to see the Filipinos with our capacity for love and patience, our resilience, and we're not angry people.
Yeah.
We're actually not even afraid. We're courageous. We're just shy. We're just timid. But palaban tayo when we need to.
Yeah.
Right? But we are like insanely generous and caring.
Yeah.
Right? So anyway, I digress.
I think you've answered some of them about the different challenges that we have. Quality mindset.
Yeah.
So quality is not just, a standard. It's also actually deeply a mindset. Because if you don't have the quality mindset, you don't have quality products. Or if you have quality products for like one season, you won't have it again the next time.
Yeah.
Because you don't have the mindset. But it seems like, you've been through a lot in your life. Like living in...
an ashram,
an urban ashram on a yoga mat, going to the Philippines, getting inspired, falling in love with the country all over again. You mentioned earlier that you took over the company because the previous CEO also had to go back to corporate. It's a testament that not everyone can do good in social enterprise alone. They can do good anywhere else, but like. For you, for example, do you think, what do you think is the kind of person you have to be, the kind of stage that you have to be in so that you could do what you are doing right now, like doing this full time, really dedicating your life here? What does it take?
It takes faith and a willingness to change your lifestyle.
Yeah.
I remember Kuya Luis was saying at the commencement speech of the seed students. Sorry. It was one of the speeches that he said, maybe during the anniversary or during the summit. He said, it's the courage to love the poor. To have the courage to love the poor. Because what does it mean? Is to give up a certain lifestyle. Right? So being able to make trade-offs, to choose to be uncomfortable physically.
Yeah.
Because I live at the farm full-time by choice.
Yeah.
Because I love being with the seed students. I love being with the community. I love being around people whose lives I get to affect positively every day. So that's what keeps me going. But, it's not the most comfortable place per se, right? There's no aircon and I had to scrounge around for hot shower. But now I have a deeper appreciation for a hot shower.
Yeah.
But you're being able to do with a lot less because you recognize that you get so much more out of it. So when I gave up a lot of my material things, it gave me a sense of freedom, mobility, right? So I take public transportation, but I'm okay with taking cars.
Yeah.
But if I didn't allow myself to be okay with being uncomfortable, then I'd be stuck traveling in cars only, and I'd lose out the opportunity to travel, to interact and experience and be around the Filipinos, everyday Filipino. And in my interaction with them, even as observing them, I would fail to see really their majesty, right? So
maybe what you're saying right now is connecting a minority of our listeners, right? In the sense that it's the outliers who would be like, oh yeah, I also want to give up really a lot and then go and live on a farm. It's
not for everyone.
It's not for everyone. What about for that person who's 25 years old? They already kind of struggle to make ends meet each month. They've got a girlfriend or a boyfriend here in Manila.
That's an expense. Give them up now. As Tita Tony's philosophy. As an expense, okay.
What would you say to that kind of person? It's really not quite ready to take the drastic step you've made.
I think you can make baby steps, baby step changes, right? So let me just start with the choices that you make every day. So it goes to that because, of course, this didn't happen to me overnight. I didn't want to one morning say I'm going to be a social entrepreneur, and this is like where you see me now is a progression of at least 15 years.
Wow,
right? At least to just slowly, methodically give up a lot of things.
Yeah.
But of course, now the millennials are very different, a lot more courageous, or even more empowered. Right, but if you make changes along the way to see where you want to go, to see the world that you want to experience. So you make those changes because those incremental changes will take you to that place. I remember reading a book a long time ago, I don't know if it's Artist's Way or something. It said, if this is your dream, what are you doing now to get there? Maybe it'll take you 5 years, 10 years, whatever, but what are you doing now to get to that place?
Okay.
If you really want to be, let's just say a rock star.
Yeah.
Right. Are you actually practicing the guitar, right? There's absolutely things you can do now at this moment to get you closer to your dream.
Yeah.
It has to be incremental steps. I was at I taught a master class to this group of students from Hong Kong. It was like a master class, and the idea was, again, it's mostly shifts in mindset. It's just shifts in mindset, and the change makers, right? Change makers, but it was a master class. And I said, change is constant. You don't even have to make change. It's happening.
Yeah.
Because everything is in constant motion. Everything is changing. So for me, change maker is such a redundant, unnecessary word, right? But the question is, how do you want the change to be? So beyond a change maker, I challenge you to become a change master. So you navigate and you shape the changes that you want to see in the world. Right? So you master the changes that you want to see.
Through doing something now, grounding it on the present.
Yes, because of choices. How do you master change that happens every moment? By choice, right? So I read somewhere that we make 70 conscious choices every day. Conscious choices. And that's discounting the other ones that we don't even think about that just happens.
Brushing our teeth. Unless that is conscious.
Yeah, or unconscious because you just brush your teeth. But remember, I'm not going to brush my teeth because I'm going to eat breakfast. Maybe I'll brush my teeth after breakfast. Even that. Those are
one of the 70.
But 70 conscious. You didn't say, what's that? Albert Camus said, our life is the sum of all the choices that we make.
Yeah.
Right? But what are the basis for those choices? At the core of it is beliefs, right? So what do you believe in? So I believe that I'm going to manifest this dream of blah, blah, blah. So you make those choices now to get to that place eventually. So it's just really mastering where you are at the moment. So you don't feel so powerless. Because for me, after meeting Tita, I felt so empowered.
Yeah.
And you see the news outside, what can I do with Marawi? What can I do with Trump? What can I do with all the bombings in Syria and London? It's like, what can I do? But we actually can do a lot of things. Because those actions were made by one person, 2 people, 3 people.
Yeah, a series of decisions.
A series of decisions. So I think, is claiming that you have the power to make something happen. Claiming that is a very important thing. And you can see it manifest in small ways, but keep your eyes open for that. And you see, I can do it after
I love that. Don't be a change maker, be a change master.
Yeah.
All right.
So for people who want to reach you or buy products from CalaBoo, how do they get there?
2 things. You can go online, CalaBoo.com, so CalaBoo.com. So we deliver Or you can visit us and like us on Facebook. We have a CalaBoo page. You can send us a message there. So you could also work with us as institutional partners, and we can take the conversation from there. So just today, for example, I'm going to plug this because I had such an amazing experience with Jeannie de Guzman, who runs Tilda Handcraft Cafe. She was the one who created Sugar House. So way ahead of her time. She has a deep appreciation for Filipino products, right? From ube to moringa to coffee to now Carabao milk. So really an eye towards excellence. So I was just there today and we talked about how we can collaborate, pun intended,
Nice.
and see what we can do to really bring Filipino excellence to your breakfast, brunch, dinner experience.
Yeah.
Right? So, but people who are aligned with the vision of ending poverty for the country in general, not just poverty in financial terms, but poverty of the mind, right? And being able to really expect excellence from ourselves and therefore from others.
And people can meet you in person, right? At the
Yes.
if they visit the GK
Oh my
Enchanted
gosh,
Farm.
yes, please visit me at
Yeah.
GK Enchanted Farm, and I promise you will totally leave inspired and empowered to be part of this journey, this movement of ending poverty in our country.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Marie.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. You spent a good few minutes of your life listening to us, and we would love to hear from you too. We're always looking for inspiring stories of people who are doing good from wherever they are. So we'd love it if you could share these stories with us. Send us a message through Facebook or Instagram. You can find us by searching for In Good Company Podcast on Facebook or at In Good Company PH on Instagram. This podcast is brought to you by Mad Travel, Rags to Riches, and Things That Matter. Hosted by me, Tom Graham, and Reese Fernandez-Ruiz. This podcast is edited by our awesome intern Alemi Pagulayan, with research and marketing done by Romano Santos. And let's not forget the music, which comes from Kevin McLeod. And finally, this podcast would not be possible without you, our listeners and advocates. We really are in good company with you. Until next time.